Hello, 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 hello. What's up, peeps? I don't know who's here. I know these impromptu streams are kind of weird. I just every once in a while I realize that Twitter characters can't really do justice when I want to talk about something, and like there are some things like I legitimately do want to. Not because I think like I have anything special or anything like that. Um, People just keep telling me I put stuff in a certain way, so we'll just keep putting stuff out there, and if it helps people, then cool. If not, I'm sorry, I tried. For me, it's just like I guess I should like start by like prefacing the fact that, well, like on Twitter, I say that I'm cis male. It's for me, like I don't know. I don't want to say like more complicated, maybe less complicated, but even growing up, I never really like hit all the typical things you're supposed to as a guy. There was a lot of stuff that I was supposed to be into that I don't know. I never felt really a part of our culture, and I really always felt conflicted about being a man without ever being conflicted about the fact that I feel like I am a man, right? I want to say this stuff. Keep in mind, like I'm not trying to say any of this stuff to be exclusive. Like I know the way that we view these things change, and I'm super open to it. Like what I'm trying to get at is, I personally feel like in a very philosophical way, there's a core of certain stuff that we feel as humans, right? And while like humans are very individual, we also have a lot of commonalities, similarities. It's why we end up breaking into groups or tribes or whatnot. Like those elements that connect us to each other are really powerful. It's that thing that makes you feel human, right? As much as we want to feel unique, we never want to feel so unique to where every single thing about us is different from everybody else, right? We find comfort in some level. It's just a question of when does that comfort become dangerous? When is it assimilation rather than it's the jagged edges of what it means to be human, right? We're always running into those things because that's humans are pretty good at going too far. Like we're really easy at that, and then we tend to overcompensate and do too little. So, like we're always trying to figure out what this balance is or whatever it is, and trying to. But I do think there are some like common elements that you could quote unquote call like man, or give it another name if we want to. I'm not really stuck on the name. Like I don't care like that. I don't care about the name. I just care that it's something that people can feel good about, that is in itself good, that is in itself positive. I want people to hear the word men and no longer feel terror. Like I genuinely want that. I understand why. I 100% understand. And anybody who follows me on Twitter, like I'm one of the first people to jump in because I recognize that. And it's not me trying to be white knight. A lot of this stuff is because I recognize it because I had to work on it in myself, right? So it's a hell of a lot easier to spot your own demons as someone else. It's too easy, right? I'm just been lucky to be alive long enough and fail early enough in life to have enough time to make up for it, to be in this weird part where I kind of get where I messed up and I can see how to actively avoid those things. And now it's easier to see those threads in other people, especially in other men. You know? What's up, Emily? How's it going? And hey, VFerg, glad to have you here. What's up, SJH Does Games? How you doing, buddy? Um, so yeah, so I mean, I understand why people fear. It's not like that's an accident. And spent a long time making sure people feared men, so it's not an accident. At the same time, it is now 2020, and we want to do different. We want to be different. We can recognize that men being feared is no longer something we want. It's not something anybody wants, and there's a whole host of fucked up shit that comes from that. And we recognize that. And this is where the problem, and this is where like talking about it gets lost a lot on Twitter. And I like Twitter because I do like making quippy tweets. It's just I've realized people can't always hear my tone in these things like I think they can, and they can't, and they're not always on my Twitter, so they don't see how I've worked these long series of theories and things, and try to show like interlinking and stuff like that. So people don't get that. So, um, which Mamon's like Emily V Ferg, if y'all could help me out with like doing clips of my Twitch channels, it would really help me as well. So, or anybody. So, just because clips stay around forever versus VODs eventually that roll off, and that's that. So basically the thing I wanted to get to, and like we're gonna work at like a little philosophy, and I don't want to get like into the weed. Thank you for the follow, Dragon M. I think one of the elements that we're going to have to start to really understand is how we're coming to a point where, in a way, you could say like the age of man is over. I don't mean like humans as a whole. I mean like the age of like guy man, like, you know, ruling over stuff is coming to an end, as it should. But in a way, because it's been a certain way so long, I think that it just feels like some things are innately part of the problem. Like it is the problem of being white and being male and being cis and being rich and being powerful. When in essence, it's all those factors together was just the elements of that kind of class of people who are ruling. Let me put it like this, right? When you dictate what it takes to get power, and we have so many sayings about power corrupts absolutely and stuff like that, but really what we really get to is there's a certain point to where you can do something, and the choice is, sure, I can do it, but should I do it? And there's this sort of choice, like the ultimate moral choice that sometimes people come to, and that's have enough power to do something that I want, and the only reason why I shouldn't is because I should feel bad, empathy. And because oftentimes those choices are usually between one thing that is physical and empathy is usually just in your soul, people end up making these steady choices over time, where eventually they get to the part where power has chipped enough empathy away to where they no longer feel bad about making these power choices. And that's what erodes. So the way I kind of imagine it is at some point, and I'm sure somebody in history will decide when this was the nexus, because I don't really care about that. I just have noticed this trend. Someone gets power, a lot of power, but you cannot get power and you cannot hold power by yourself. That's in fiction. In the real world, you cannot do it by yourself. You have to have people around you. You have to have support. However, the more people you bring on board, technically the less power you would have. So how do I have people help me, but also still keep power? That in itself is like your baseline of what we know as the patriarchy, right? How do I keep this power to myself, have other people be near me to serve me, but also not disempower myself in doing so? Rather than you can do that good is pretty much what history has been about. Like, this person did a bad job of that, and then he got betrayed, and this person had too, right? And that's always been that go and forth. But deeper than that, really what it comes down to is it starts becoming an exclusive club, right? Whatever branch that most powerful person is from, whatever their kaleidoscope of their personality is, once they have enough power, and assuming that they're having to make these power empathy choices, which if you think about it, to really get that big, you really have to. Like, you know, like we all have had those points. There are those choices. So if someone is to amass really huge power, that means they're going to end up having to make huge moral choices. And once again, like, we know this in history. But that doesn't change the core of who they feel they are. That just changes their level of empathy, their level of humanity, right? It's the classic Dracula on the throne, and like he still has like the understanding of what it is to have love, but he can't actually have it because the soul, essentially, or in most cases when it comes to people, you've done so many choices to where it's easy for you to make a bad choice. It's easy for you to make a choice just a whole lack of empathy. Right? And when you have that much power, other people change around you and how they treat you it. But you may not know that. You just assume, haha, see? I told you. If you do these things, you win. You don't know that behind the scenes other people took corners or prostrated themselves for you because they needed whatever you had, right? Which is that always classic case of, well, why don't they understand this? Because they didn't realize all the things you had to give up to get it, and you didn't really talk about it. Not that the fault's on them, but like that's a thing that happens. Like we don't talk about the struggles that we use or the struggles we go through to get somewhere, because that and it doesn't matter sometimes. Sometimes we don't even want to talk about it. We just say, hey, it's here, it's a thing. But when you have a singular person or a small amount of people who have a lot of power, that message gets even diluted even more because it's become simple numbers, just numbers. But that person, that powerful person, that king, that ruler, that, you know, rich billionaire, they are still a person. They still have an interest in something. They still have some sort of personality that they're attracted to or disattracted to. You know, they have interest. They have all their things as a personality. But now they have the power to make things the way they want them to be. So that becomes like your implicit bias in a governmental system or anything like that, because you get to say yes or no, and you're making yes or no choices based on how you feel because your power lets you. At some point, people below you have to decide, what are they going to do? Do you try to fight against this great power? And if you're the kind of person who doesn't have empathy, that's not a good fight. Trying to fight someone who has no empathy, you get nowhere, because you quickly realize how many arguments are there that we use to invoke empathy. And if they don't have empathy to invoke, those arguments get you nowhere. It's why we have a hard time trying to have these philosophical discussions with people like Nazis and shit like that, because those empathy arguments will fail because they just don't care. And then you realize that, cool, if I can't use an empathy argument, what's left? And that's when it's shouting and yelling, and it's cathartic, but it's just two sides battling it out. So you watch that and you go, cool, so I can either fight the great power and not get stuff, or I could just, you know, do these things and fit in this way, and then I'll be favorable in the eyes of X power. Right? And the biggest problem we've had is that at the original, at the start, it was men who had that power. It was men who attained that power first. And because of that, by almost default, there's like these assigned things like, I like these things and therefore blah ha 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 ha. And then that becomes a standard. So then it literally makes people below be like, cool, I automatically have decided if I'm for or against this argument. They didn't even have a choice. They didn't even want to. But because the person with power above them set that standard, you are now automatically having to say you're for or against something, even if you didn't have a strong opinion about it. But like that power dynamic kind of makes you don't have a choice. And especially when it's a governmental, or we have a hard time kind of separating the fact that while stuff like pop culture isn't the same as a Senate, it can definitely have the same impact as people. Like cultural icons change how people look at people, good or bad, you know? So we have to accept that those things are equally as powerful. So like my whole point the other day, if anybody here remembers from Twitter, was that, and this is just me thinking as a philosopher, it was just like, cool, so if we've had patriarchy for very long, like longer than when we can remember, then does that mean we know what it's like to have it when it's inclusive? Because it being used for power automatically made it about power. And there are certain things that I know men would be more into, but they always involve empathy, right? And that's why you see so many things from proto-culture, cis male culture that is devoid of empathy. And we like to think of it as different ways, but I don't know, man. From just the stuff I've read, it's just clear at how easy it is to manipulate people when they don't have empathy. When you can remove empathy, it is a lot easier to manipulate people. And I just can't help but feel that the way things have been engineered, it is to give a small class of people that empower, that embody these ideals, that's your like 1%, like your stereotypical like white male. And it's figured out how to make everyone else be part of that work culture that gives them what they need, but doesn't have too much power, right? It tells men you should do these things, yeah, and then you can succeed not really telling them that doing all those things won't actually get them anywhere. I mean, it'll get them somewhere, but not where they said they were going to. There's another 89 steps you need. They didn't tell you those. Oh, and you need some power and some money that you're not going to have because it's going to make sure you don't have enough. And if you do try to run for something, you have about 10 seconds to declare yourself super likable to me or my audience, or we're going to use our power and money to bury you. And that's the sort of stuff you see on local elections and stuff like that. You see a lot of cajoling people down to the message, and we call that platforms and stuff like that, but that's all it is. So like, my point in all this is just that I think about how many times I as like a young boy was into something that was super fun and that there's nothing bad about it, but it didn't fit how it was supposed to be as a man, so I couldn't do it. And it was always fear. It was always like, well, why can't I? It makes no sense. Why is a G.I. Joe different from a Barbie? They're both dolls. No, one's an extra. No, okay. And like, I could never understand stuff like that. And we mock it as we should, but we don't kind of pause to wonder where that comes from and what things will look like different. And one of the reasons I really like watching My Hero Academia is because Midoriya hits how I feel you would see a little bit more like it. Like, we would call him like a soft boy, and like not even a mean way. Like, he feels, he cares, and while he wants to be a hero, it's not just to smash and be manly. It's to protect people. He connected with the protection part, the part that we would call manly, like per se, but really it's just you want to protect people, and you recognize that, oh, out of this group of people, I can swing the most, so that's how I can protect the people around me. But just because you can't swing the hardest doesn't invalidate you as a man. It just means that, cool, what's going to be your thing to make you feel the most you? If it's not that, then cool, what is that? And I guess that's kind of why I'm confused now, because I thought that's what we were trying to do, was just be like, how can you be the best you and we'll support you? And sometimes it's been feeling like people are like, no, but not that kind of you. That kind of you we've decided is just all around bad. And it's like, but we're not talking about that though. Like, we're usually talking about higher, bigger mechanisms of power. Like, here's the thing. If you put someone like Donald Trump in a room of average men, I mean actually average men, do you think he would get in, do you think we would be able to chat? Like, the motherfucker would be so, we wouldn't have anything to talk about. Like, he's not a cis man. Like, I don't know who he is. He's a weird sock puppet of a person of an empty soul with money. And I think sometimes I get frustrated when I see people who get like held as icons for stuff, and I'm like, who is this man's? Because I don't accept him. Like, can I get a say in this? Can I get a stamp in this? Can I get an anti-stamp? Because I don't want this either. And people are like, boo this man. I'm like, yes, I'm saying boo this man. Like, I've been saying boo this man. I've been saying boo this man, but like, they don't listen to me in Manland, because it's, Manland is about if you have the numbers, and then it's like, cool, I have to go find people from my man tribe to outvote these people in this man tribe, and that's exhausting. I'm just like, can I not? But I know lately I've looked around and been like, cool, maybe I do have to. Maybe the solution isn't the like, leave the man tribe. Maybe the solution is like, if you feel that you're in that, change that part of it. Like, make it be better. Something like more, I don't know. It's just, I just get frustrated because I want it to be better. But I also want to be able to feel like I can identify as a guy and feel proud in that, because I know that we do good things and that we do good work, and that our legacy isn't going out and shitting on whole sects of people, you know, and being sexist and transphobic. Like, I don't want that. So, anyway, I know this is like what people are like. It's been funny. I love watching the stats go up and the people are like, no, this go down. But it's just one of those things. Is this pre-recorded? No, it's not pre-recorded. I just had something to say, and so sometimes when I had something to say, I don't read chat. That's all, man. I know these things aren't hugely popular. It's just I don't get to feel like I get to say my whole truth on Twitter sometimes, and people take it in a weird way. And I've never had a problem with people disliking me, but it's just like when I feel like people aren't really hearing what I'm saying, then it doesn't really get me. So, but I appreciate the host, Nomi. How are you doing? Like, Emily holding it down while I'm just like ranting at the camera, because good peeps like that. What's up, Chaos? Anticipated the content you need. Appreciate that, Gnome, because it's like, And especially since I started doing Swords Fall, like I always knew that obviously like it would be popular with men just because men will get into anything that we tell them not to get into. But like I was really aiming to be more inclusive, so I figured there would be a bigger backlash. I figured like my issue would be like I'd have just like some accountant being like, you have to figure out how to get the male audience or you're screwed. But like I've had so many guys who message me and they're like really appreciative of stuff that I hoped that like other guys would get into, but I really didn't bank on it, you know. But I don't know. It made me realize that maybe there's more like quote unquote good guys out there, but like they legit just step out the game. Like I mean legit just step out the game. They're in their own worlds doing their own things. And if you didn't know the dude, you wouldn't know him, you know? And because I just get these messages, I'm like, who are you? And like I get a lot of these. So it just makes me think about it. And it just makes me think about it differently and say that, okay, like maybe some of it has to be just as much saying don't do this, but also dream this, not just do this, but like dream this, like dream this positive dream, like dream this dream that you can have that can hit on like the things that are prototypical that you like, but are also like in a positive way that are good, that you can take home, that you can love and show off and don't have to worry about being lambasted because it is good at its core. So I don't know. It's hard to tell like how these things are perceived these days and whatnot. So, you know, I just want to try to help do good and add positive things and like however I can. And I don't know. I'm not the kind of person to run for office, and Lord knows, ran for office, like I would be the worst politician ever because they'd be like, "Sir, you can't say this," and I'd be like, and it would be the shortest campaign ever. But I really do think that like fiction and writing and the things you dream can really add more to that. I feel like having something that you can read that speaks to you in a way that you couldn't articulate. And I think a lot about like the impact people like Stan Lee had, where he might not have known it, but he put messages out there to people. Not that it was new, but it hit them in a way that they could hold on to, that they could be like, oh, that's it. That's what it was. Oh, like, that's the thing. Like, I couldn't figure out what I was feeling, but this page hit it. Now I know what to do, you know? And like, you know, I always want to add those things, and not just like in a random way, but I don't know. I want to write a character that like people can feel good about and feel positive about. Like, I try to make it clear that like obviously like I want to be like empowerment across the board. So like I've definitely been listening to not only like the ones in my honest, but I listen to like the women in my own life and whatnot about like the things they want to hear, the things that they want to see, the things that they hate. Like I really do take those things to heart, and then I inscribe them instantly, you know. So when I make people like Nubaya and Nirvana Lara, it's not by accident. Like I very much am recognizing the things that we do not have and the things that we want, and trying to add to how I can in Swordsfall. I know I can't do everything, but I can do the things I can do. You know what I mean? Like sometimes we get so lost and we're like, I don't know if I can do all the things. We're like, well, cool, just take the shots you can take. Or you know, like someone's not gonna really give you shit about doing a half-court shot if you're just sitting here and landing 2-pointers all day. I hate to use sport metaphors, but I just think about stuff like yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like if you're just taking all the shots you can, people aren't gonna get really mad at you for that stuff, you know? So that's what I'm just trying to do. I'm just, every time like I think I can and it's in my power to do this, and this character can be something that can encapsulate this group and also still be the character I have in mind, boom, I take the shot, I do it. Done. All today. Like with Leskrin specifically, I knew that like So I guess I say overall in Swordsfall, like my goal is to go through as many different, I hate to say types because I want to like, you know, put people in a box like that. But I feel like, you know, like how we use like those Breakfast Club memes now and like we put like the social networks on it. There's those commonalities, right? So I want to get as many of those different personality types in positive ways as I can and not feel like I'm just trying to like hand out cookies, but like legitimately like, okay, there's gonna have to be this character for this scene. Does the character have to be X? No. Cool. Then what else can it be? And I will legit look through and be like, who haven't I repped yet? And I think that's something that people won't do because I feel like it's fake and it's artificial. But no, it's just recognizing the fact that if the default of your culture makes you do this and you want to be different, you can't be different unless you recognize it. So for me, I have to recognize that, like, for me, definitely as a dude, there are going to be certain stereotypes that I lean into. So I write those things down, and I know that, hey, sometimes the best way to deal with it is not just to do the anti-stereotype, because then you get into all sorts of weird stuff, because that's a thing too, right? Sometimes it's about realizing, like, what are the parts that people celebrate in? Like, what are the parts that they feel good in? Because every time you would think of what could be a stereotype or something, it's actually just a person. And the stereotype is assuming all these terrible things about them just because they happen to be this way, right? So like with Screen, I knew I was going to eventually have some sort of like big character who was going to be like your big beefy guy, right? Because that is a thing. There are just big men, right? But I also knew I didn't want them to be some stereotypical way. I knew automatically by default they weren't going to be dumb because I am sick to death of that stereotype. Like sick to death, like bury me. I'm done. If I see one more big oof, I'm just going to lose my shit. I just can't, right? So I knew first off he wasn't going to be an oomph because I just can't. But I wasn't necessarily going to be like overcompensate and then make him like super like smart Hulk. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to just go the opposite direction, right? So instead I decided like, okay, Laskin's gonna be someone who, yeah, he's big and like he enjoys a part of him, but like he also likes a good book. He just likes to curl up with a good book. Like I just wanted him to feel like a human, you know? So I just wanted him to have that soul, that personality. And so I just kind of imagine those things. I imagine how people would take a big guy, and I think about how that would feel, and I thought about how I can make it fun and positive and also be something that someone who is the big guy can be like, oh, that's me, and feel good about it, not be like, ooh, ow. You know, like I don't ever want to make a character that makes someone hurt. That's just not okay. Right? So I need to get off topic, but it was just, I feel like part of that comes with also just recognizing that we need the peripheral of good types and everything, you know? So like one of the things I really want to do is hit on like certain male stereotypes, but then try to make them more about like that personal journey rather than it be about oppressing someone or about being like, I'm this because I hate this. So see, the mods are on it. I appreciate it, Emily. You're the best, the baddest. I appreciate it, man. Go through that for sure. I feel like, I mean, we've all gone through stuff like that. Oh, Twitch finally is kind of, yeah, I guess Twitch has been getting hit hard lately, or might be my settings. I don't know. I'll adjust them if they need to. I did turn up my quality a little bit because I thought it would be nice to see this face in HD. Thanks for getting banned, weird creepy person, because some people got time. Contribute to the meme pool. Exactly. I have to look at every time I write or draw who is and who isn't represented. I mean, sometimes that's what it takes. You just have to do it like that, you know? My own personal hang-up is that I'm also white and I kind of feel guilty loving your brave Afro-punk world and its beauty, and it's just fantastic. And I know a lot of real-world history that makes me just conflicted. Like, how much can I really dive in? Am I invading a space that would just be for POC? Okay. We'll address this because this comes up a lot, right? Pause and think about how much minorities have to indulge in white culture. Right? Don't have a choice. Like you know what I mean? Like I don't want to turn around per se, but just think about that. Like think about how much other people naturally get into what is quite prototypical white culture and don't say much about it, right? Like how many like black people watch the History Channel? There are us. Like, you know what I mean? We don't complain. We don't sit there and go, like, and that's what I'm saying. So it's just like sometimes this is about realizing that the problem isn't you indulging in it. The problem is if you decide that it's yours and you decide to run away with it, right? I used the example the other day on Twitter, and it's like you kind of have to think of it like a library, right? And when you're getting to someone else's world, someone else's language, you're checking out a book. That doesn't mean you get to go home and start marking out with a highlighter and ripping out pages. It's not your book. But you get to read it, get to enjoy it, like get that knowledge, yeah, but it's not yours. Put it back when you're done. And that's all it's about, you know. Like no one has to feel weird about playing Swordsfall if they're not black. In fact, like if you aren't a POC, you should be playing Swordsfall. If you're not a POC, like the first thing you should be doing is actually like getting into the culture, and not so you can steal it and argue about it, but just so you can understand it, just get into it. Like people ask me about books all the time, and I'm like, just Google it. Like, why is anybody afraid to type in African American fiction? Like, it's not, you know what I mean? I won't be rating anybody, but like, are you trying? Like, are you trying? And it's like, you can't ask us to give you a curated list because then you're asking us to like do the work for you when the answer is just to read a whole bunch of it, find stuff that you like it, just read it, just enjoy it. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing with Swordsfall. Like, for me, I'm just trying to invent a world that hasn't really been around as far as I know, and that's it. But like, I'm trying to make it inclusive because I want people to be enjoy it. Like, I want it to be a game that you can take to your friends and play, and no one has to feel weird about it. Like, I don't want it to be that game, right? I hate that stuff. I want it to be the safest game that you can pull off your shelf, and also the most exciting. And I want to show that you can, like, I don't know, respect people and it still be a fun ass game, because people like to pretend like if you make things inclusive, then suddenly it's not fun anymore. And I think that's redonkulous. So, and I think what part of that comes with also like recognizing the fact that, hey, like, I'm a dude. Man, whatever you want to say. Like I said, I don't care about the nomenclature. I'm all about it. I just know that like when I get around other like quote unquote like men, and that's the great thing I love about it. And that's, for me, that was always a thing that, and sometimes I wonder how much of this is because like I did grow up as a black guy. Because I'm gonna assume everybody in here has seen Tiger King or whatnot. Like Saz, I know so many people like that. The black community has so many Sazes. So like, the way people just couldn't understand stuff like that. Like, I have a cousin like that. I have a cousin who, when they were young, was Shrovla. Still Shrovla, but different pronouns. Not surprised at all. Like, no one was, I don't know how to say it. Like, we were just like, that's Ro. That's it. And one day she shaved her head. She goes, hey, I'm going by he now. Got tattoos. That was it. That was done. Like, it was something people called around. I was like, oh yeah, by the way. But it was like, that was it. Like, no, I don't know. I'm not gonna say like that stuff doesn't roll in the black community, because do not get me wrong, that shit does. Do not misunderstate that. I am just saying that certain levels of like gender differences between just your stereotypical men and women, I just feel like we've seen in stuff like POC communities, we just call it different maybe, or we just say it's different. I don't know. I don't really know how to classify that one, but I definitely don't feel weird about that stuff. I never did. So for me, a lot of the times I'm just trying to learn in a weird way. I'm trying to learn other people's love languages. It's, for me, I think it's been realizing that like growing up as like as a dude, you didn't learn other people's love languages, and that's kind of how I'm learning to look at it, you know, because for me it's no hate, it's never any hate. So I never want to feel like I said anything that someone would take as hate. Like, it's literally not understanding that someone else needs to be said or talked to in a specific way. So for me, lately, I'm just like, just tell me tell me what your love language is, and or people's, you know. And I think some of that now, especially for men, is now, especially if we really do get all these years out of office, I can't tell you how much it would be nice just to feel like I could just maybe be me and just kind of be that. Like, one thing that cracks me up is like, now that I'm in Portland, I don't have to feel bad about drinking hard cider, because if you drink hard cider where like I was before, like in Arkansas, if you're a dude and you got like a granny apple, you will get ragged on, and not just by men. You will get ragged on. Period. And you're like, why? What's wrong with cider? What's wrong with hard ale? What's wrong with y'all? It has more alcohol in it than your Budweiser. The fuck you on? And they're like, oh, it's well, cause it's sweet. Is it sweet? Cause I want to get drunk on something that tastes good. And I'll drink a margarita. They're like, oh, what kind of man drinks a margarita? This one. Ugh. Does it got salt, lemons? I don't. So for me, sometimes I see how people assign it to they're like, oh, look what cis culture does. I'm like, but why? I'm cis. Like, I love this stuff. I think they're ridiculous. Like, team getting that shit out. Like, let's go. Like, come on. So sometimes I'm just trying to figure out like a way to acknowledge that, because I honestly think that the best way for men to be better is to figure out what makes us better, and just us. Not because of this group or that group. Literally just when you go home and it's just you and it's nighttime and it's 1 a.m. and there's nobody around, what makes you feel good, my dude? That's all I want to focus on. Like, I want to dump all this hate, all this crap. I don't care what our dads taught us, what our granddads taught us. I don't care. I want to dump it all. I want to dump it all like the Boston tea. I want it done. I want to start over. We can make a new name, bro. Like, you know what I mean? And I think some of that starts with building new things, new rules that says that, hey, a real man drinks whatever the hell he wants to drink. Boom. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we still think it's quippy and stuff like that, but I think there's always going to be some people who identify with that. So let's have healthy identifications. That's all I'm saying. Like, and that way everyone else can do whatever the hell they want to do, because that's what we should be doing. But I'm just saying, let's give some positive ones if it has to be like that. That's all I'm trying to get at sometimes. You know, like, sometimes you can't destroy something. That's just whatever. So you try to make it more positive. That's all I'm saying. Let's make it more positive. But not how we wanted to, what works for them, what's their love language, but also in a positive way. That's all I'm on. I see people are about this Granny Smith's, bro. I'm all about some apple cider. Like, that's how you get Brandon. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a whiskey kind of guy. I like that kind of stuff, but oh, bro, cider, catch me every time. You don't even have to ask. If you're ever like, yeah, Brandon, for a drink, you don't have to ask. Just order me a cider, and I'll be like, ooh, someone's paying attention. Hey, I'm a simple man. Bring me gummies and margaritas on Tuesdays. Wife goes, can't confirm. I'm pretty sure I ordered a margarita like the first time we went out and we drank, because I was just like, I get no fucks. Like, oh, I will fuck up a margarita. I'm like, ooh, it's got what fruits in it? Ooh, yeah, how big? And it's got an umbrella? Hell yeah. Like, I don't know, man. Shit drives me. Locker room culture is toxic. It is. Well, I do want to pause to, if you all don't mind if I digress, I do want to talk about something like locker room culture, right? Because we talk about it a lot of different ways, and I've been in locker rooms. No, like, I was that guy, like, since I was a big guy and people were like, you're big, therefore you have to do sports. So I did have that time where I was forced into sports and I hated the shit out of it. But then as I got older, I ended up getting into martial arts, just because, honestly, I realized that as like a black kid in the suburbs, if I didn't learn how to defend my ass, I was toast. But then I kind of got into the whole like mindset, like, because I really did have a good Sifu who really impressed upon me that the best way, and maybe this is where it comes from, because like I had these experiences, I guess, as a young man, like, but he was really intent about the fact that the most powerful man is a man who knows not to use power. And there was just always stuff like that they drove home, that was like, yeah, just because you can doesn't mean you do, and that's true power. It was a lot of stuff that got drilled into my head like that when you're sitting there, like, like learning your katas and stuff like that. And I'm not sad with me, So when I got into college and I ended up falling into philosophy, like, it's no surprise I fell into like Eastern philosophy even more, because like I wonder about that stuff. I really think about that stuff. I really think about, like, if I have power physically, like, more than someone else, it really is about me knowing how not to use it, because that is by its nature like can be an oppressive force. Like how can I use it for good then? Like, I think about those things. Huh? And I would just like to see more of those things, and I know that those things aren't taught more because it does fly in the face of patriarchy. It makes it harder to control those kind of men who are not willing to use their power for bad. The more men who think like that, the harder it is. Like, you can't put kids in cages if you don't have men who aren't okay with it. That's just the truth of it, right? So, like, in a weird way, we have to starve the top. Like, unless we're gonna roll in there with guillotines, which I'm all for. Unless we do that, like, we have to, in a way, starve their power by really enforcing this stuff, by adding more empathy into stuff, by like letting, like, in a way, like, men explore, because it's deeper sometimes than just margaritas. It's stuff like, think back a couple years how we made fun of like cargo pants, right? Is there anything really wrong with men wearing cargo pants? I mean, really, I'm gonna be real. I know it's not the sexiest thing, but then it's like we talk about like the same thing with women, and it's like, well, like, you're empowered, but what you want to empower, and like, let it do, wear some cargo shorts, like let the men bun happen. Like, we have a sense to take things that we see in a lot of men, and the second like a certain percentage of men do something, it's like there's a backlash, and that's like a thing that, like, that's the stuff that drives the insecurity in men that they don't even understand. You don't even know why. It's just suddenly it's like, oh, well, I had to do things differently. And like, they don't even know why they liked in the first place. They just did, and it just was, and it was cool, and it was just move on. Like, is the cargo pants assaulting you? You know, let them have the damn cargo pants. Let them have the man bun. Like, just do whatever. Is it hurting you? No, then you just don't like the fashion. Like, you know, shit. Yeah, honestly, if you think about it, the cargo pants was like, in a way, like men's responses to like how they couldn't have purses. If we want to be psychological about it, it was like, cool, I need to carry stuff, and a backpack I can't always have. So someone was like, hey, how about these pants with like 89 pockets on it? Like, oh shit, I could put that in this and that and this and that and this and that and this and that and this. Ah, shit. Like, because you know what I'm talking about? The men who wear cargo pants, they're bowed on the ends because they put shit in them. They use them for utility. It's the same thing. Well, and that's that's sometimes that's what I'm getting at in a weird way.
Are all your D&D characters?
Well, because sometimes in a weird way, like, male culture has just been diving away from when they do something and then people hate it. So then it's like, oh, I guess that's not cool. And I think about how much even like I was a part of it without knowing about it. But there's a lot of weird weaving and stuff, and there's a lot of stuff in there that people that we don't know. We just go along with it, or we hate it, and you're just like, I don't know. There's a lot of choices that get left off the table because there's an assumption, you know. But I guess I should pay attention to chat and you lovely people in here. Whiskey and cider, brother, my two alcohol drinks of choice. Gummy and cider sounds like a wild good. It's so good. Gummies and alcohol, I'm gonna say don't recommend, because you want to know a sweet way to get drunk as fuck. Woo, buddy. One time we decided we were gonna soak one of those like 5-pound gummies in Everclear for like a week. You know what happens to gummies that soak in Everclear for a week? It just, we assumed that we were like, haha, because I mean, like, mind you, we're like not 21, so judgment was lacking. But like, we assumed they were gonna get all swole or be all weird. We thought it was gonna be one of those, her look how they're messed up. So one, yeah, the hell is swelled up, but they kept their shape. They were just big old gummies, and since they had been in it long enough, most of the alcohol had actually like kind of like sifted off. There wasn't that much in the bag left anymore. They'd absorbed the rest, and the rest had kind of vaporized up. So we're like, oh yeah, it smelled like a little bit like, you know, vodka. It smelled like really sweet vodka. It was like, whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, I tried one a little bit. I was like, oh, this tastes pretty good, right? So I'm like, oh, whatever. Handful. You haven't been wasted, being gummy bear wasted. That was another stratosphere. A Boilermaker with cider and ginger whiskey brandy is amazing. Okay. I'm down for that, Ovi. I'm down for that. Even ordering drinks instead of just beer is considered not manly in Brazil. That's so tired. Like, if there's gonna be some de facto national you have to, why is it the grossest drink possible? Help me out with this one. Of all the alcoholic beverages, why is it alcohol? Why beer? Can we? I think isn't it like universally agreed that beer is like the least tasty thing in the world? Like we have to explain to people about hops. Like if you have to explain the science of something, it doesn't taste good. Just be real. Okay. If we're gonna have like a base drink, it has to be a man. I demand my vote in the man council, which I don't know if it's a thing, but if the thing, my official vote is I want it to be as tasty as hell. I want to have enough calories to not be able to order more than one.
You want a mudslide?
I want like a mudslide. I want like a mudslide from K2 that like then went through like a chocolate forest. It came out the other side and was like through a stream of marshmallow. I don't know. Like I want to get drunk. I want it to be like tasty drunk. That's all I'm saying. Like new rules from here on. That's all I'm saying. I want a weed distilled it in the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. The tap is literally in his veins. That's how I want my booze. Don't at me. Toxic masculinity's first victim has and always will be men, and they are forced to mutilate themselves both physically and mentally to fit a role or be ostracized. I feel like you... Actually, no, I didn't even finish that article. Shit. It's funny you say that. I literally was in the process of writing a Medium article, and it was pretty much about that. Like, and the biggest problem that like men often face is because of the fact that you don't even realize the fact that you've been victim blamed so long that like you don't even recognize where it starts because it was what you knew from the beginning, you know? And that's why we see like so many men who end up differently when we remove them from those places. And it's not something they want. It's just if that's all you know, that's all you end up being until you know different. You know? Yeah, a lot of debate came to light on locker room culture recently in rugby because of an incident just before the quarantine. Oh, I can believe that. It's just always the same. So I know I got off the topic, but the thing I wanted to get to about the locker room is it's just like when you get any sort of circumstance or you start to get people in athletic conditions, there's a real thing that changes differently in the brain, right? I'll try to find the research, but it was something that came up about how the rate of people who get abused, and not just abused, but like what's the wording, who kind of get like brainwashed and stuff like that, it's far higher in athletic communities, and that's regardless of gender. And there's something about you have to trust in a coach, and there's things that are physical and it changes you, and if it's someone good, then you get that dear teacher, that sensei, you know, that builds you up, your all might, and if it's bad, then you end up getting the creepy, terrible, awful raper coach guy, you know? And the issue is that they're both in the same room, and we keep putting this pretend divider between it and not addressing the fact that one is bad, very, very bad. But because we keep focusing on results, well, I mean, he put out how many Olympic? Yeah, and he was a terrible human being the whole time. Well, but, you know, Olympic swimmer, and, you know, but what about his, you know, it's this that's the kind of power stuff I'm talking about that really props it up, you know? And that's kind of why I wonder how different it would be if we took that power out, because you see this all the time. Like, and I don't mean to like trigger anybody, but like if you saw the clip that happened when I think it was the gymnast coach when he was being convicted, and one of the fathers was just like, dude, you could just see, look at his face, and then like you come to find out like 3 of his daughters had been like molested by this guy, and you could just see this guy. He just had this look like, just give me 5 minutes, and he didn't say anything. He's like 5 minutes, and it's just like, I know people take it different ways of like, well, it makes it worse, but I don't know. When I look at that, like I as a dude saw this sense of betrayal, because there's this weird, don't want to say manco because that has weird connotations, but I don't know, like when I see another guy, like there's things I expect because I think it just goes along with like the understanding power, and in a weird way, the Spider-Man with great power comes great responsibility. Like, I recognize that stuff. And like when I see a big dude and like he's like playing with the cat and stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, he's a dude who gets that power. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, as a guy, I see this stuff, and like when I see someone that who really uses it well, it feels good, man. You're like, yeah, that's why we like Mr. Rogers and people like that, because you see the kindred spirit, but then it's doing it in such a nice, good way. It feels good, And then you see someone who's just bad, and I don't know, like anybody who does anything I don't like. You know me, I don't like this shit. But when I see a guy who does this stuff, I just feel different. I just get this like, I'm just like, you bitch, you waggity. It's like it's personal. It's like you know the rules of this game, and you know what you can and cannot do, and you chose to be this bad. You chose to be this shitty. I don't know. It hurts. Like above all, it just feels like a betrayal of something, like someone like in your quote unquote tribe. So that's why I say I wonder what would happen if you remove the power, because I know there's more men like that. It's just that in the weird way that goes with like when things are going well, you don't know. When you have guys that are doing good, that are being inclusive, like they kind of become invisible because they don't stick out, because they're just being regular human beings, you know what I mean? Like good, normal people. And I don't mean normal in a normative way. I just mean like in terms of like they're frictionless, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes I think when we think normal, we really think frictionless, like someone who just you interact with and it just glides. There's nothing awkward about it. There's no jagged edges, right? That's quote unquote normal, like at least what I consider normal. So like we just want that frictionless, right? And those people you don't remember that the classic, oh yeah, it's a nice person. It doesn't stick in your head because they were just being good. And that's kind of the problem with that, because in a weird way, the worst part about being a good person is good people don't seek power. So they're not in those positions to change those rules. They can do good around them, and that's how you get, like, once again, like a Mr. Rogers, or like that person is really good, or that person is really good. But it doesn't do much to change the overall message, because once again, they don't seek power because they just want to be a good person. They don't want to have to make the power versus empathy choice because they know they'll pick empathy. So why even get into the game? I know I'm going to pick empathy, so, and it's reasonable. But it kind of sucks because that means that power will be taken by someone who wants the power, and you can only hope that they have the empathy. So that's my thing with locker room coaches, because it's like, I don't know. Especially like later on as I got into martial arts, I have met so many guys that are awesome, who there's been people who would have started quote unquote locker room chat who would have gotten bounced the fuck out. And those are usually douchewads who end up finding gyms owned by other douchewads who are okay with douchewad behavior, because going to a regular gym and saying that stuff, you will not have a good time. And it's just once again, like they cluster because they know they can't say that stuff in the general room of menness. They cluster to their own snake den of shit, and they put out little smoke signs that go, hey, if you're also a shitty person, come to this room, and they go here. And the problem is they cluster together and they go, cool, how can we get power so that we don't have to worry about going to our own space, that our space becomes the space, and then they have to deal with us. And that's what happens. And I see that all the time. So sometimes that's why I get on people about, like, charging money correctly and stuff like that, because we kind of have to have that power enough to take away, to protect your corners in like a good and inclusive way. But like, I feel like really, like, especially like men need to embrace a healthier way, because that's the only way it changes. And in a weird way, you have to make yourself less controllable, right? Like you have to be less of a demographic that they think they can count on. They have to be less of something that they can depend on, because they keep hitting these points because they think it works. And the second they realize it won't work, they're left with no ball to play with. And maybe we can have stuff like margaritas. It drives me. Anyway, sorry, ignoring chat. I'm bad about this one. I'm in a ranty mood today. I just got up and saw a whole bunch of stuff, and I was just like, can't we just not today? Can't we just, I'm not saying we gotta love people, but like, damn, like, we're just being mean. Dog, I use the word cargo shorts all the time. Yeah, it's practical. Exactly. It's practical. I wear them all the time. You wear those cargo pants to more comfort over fashion. Same, like, those pockets were very helpful. There are men who think changing their children's diapers is feminism. They can get right the fuck out. Right the fuck out. Right the fuck out. Pockets on dresses, pockets fucking everywhere. I mean, that should be the motto. Pockets on everything, because that's just that. Thanks for the follow, Bear Glove. I appreciate it. Welcome to Taekwondo. Pocket heaven. I still wear cargo shorts. They're practical as hell, as you should, Ovi. Cargo pants are pretty damn cool. Yes. Can men rooms have changing tables? Yes. That like have just that assumption, right? They're like, they're not going to. It's like, well, how am I going to when I want to? So now I just have to plan around the fact that I can't instead of giving me that ability to. Thanks. I would kill for usable pockets. Who we killing? Tell me who to stab for pockets. Psst, 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 psst. Cargo pants or fanny packs? I'm down with either. Both. Pretty sure that's the uniform. Cargo pant, fanny pack. I'm gonna wear both now. Revolution of pockets. Cargo dresses. Cargo dresses, I've seen some of those. I mean, I'm pretty sure we all have. Okay, let me tell you, man, I've been carrying a purse for a couple years here and it's changed my life. I bet. Like, my only problem would be is like I would just inevitably sling it over my head. I don't know how people on one shoulder, because I've tried and it's just like it feels awkward. So I would end up wearing like a satchel anyway. I feel like that's like the evolution of the satchel anyway. It was like purse and someone was just like and it's just like that's it, it's just a satchel. That's it. But also I don't like carrying stuff. I don't know. I'm me. I do my own thing. My dude, how are you still alive? It was an interesting night. Not Everclear. I learned that lesson. No. Everyone went to eat once, and the guy went in and said that no changing tables. We assumed there's none at all. I got into women's. Look, yep. Yup. Getting gummy tonight. I turned into like one of those Gumby movies. It's like, what's happening? I'm good with Aviators too. Citrus, gin, and lavender if you're feeling it. Perfection. That said, drinking sugary drinks gives me hangovers. It makes me want to puke. Whiskey drunk feels good to me, but hell, drink what you want. Which is fair. Which is generally, I think that's why most people try to avoid sugar drinks, is because it just doesn't do well with their system because of sugar, which I get. However, my body was made for sugar, so I'm like, poured straight in my veins. Ooh, your boy's got a shave. Looking rough. I'm not gonna shave this off. Don't get me started on how much I hate lavender in food drinks. I just don't like flowers in my stuff. Don't put flowers in it. Like, I don't know. That's just where I get weird. Like, I don't mind flower scents. There was something I ate one time. I had a flower petal, and I was like, what the? Like, why is there a flower petal? I just don't want to eat flowers. I'm trying to get drunk. Come on now. You have All Might or Kamoshida. Nailed it with that one. All the booze talk is making me crave a Pim's cup. Pim's cup? What was somebody said what a Pim's cup is while I'm trying to catch up, because you can't tell me it's the hottest summer drink and then not tell me what's in a Pim's cup or offer me one. That's just rude. But intertwined with the economy mentality just results in number matters. Yup. So I feel about Westboro Baptist Church as a white person. It's just that pit of you had all this power and this is what you decided to do. This is your cause. Nah, I could feel that, because that's quite literally what the that's kind of what they've done, really. Man, that's probably the best example, man. There's a special righteous rage reserved for men in power. Truth. Lots of Axe. Why does everybody make fun of Axe body spray? Can we talk about that real quick? Is it that bad? Do people actually hate Axe body spray because of the smell? I say this because I have used a number of Axe body sprays because my ass was poor and I couldn't afford real cologne, but I went to Walgreens and figured out that they had like 89 different, I don't know, whatever you call them, scents, and I found one that was like, man, and people liked it. It's not my favorite because it's cheap, I'm just saying, do people actually hate Axe body spray, or is this because Axe body spray has tended to be on people who they do not like? Which kind of goes back to my point. That's all I'm asking. If we hate Axe body spray, the maybe is weird. I accept that my nose can be broken. We'll spread shit everywhere. Douchebags didn't last in our gym, not just because our gym had plenty of women and had women coaches. If they acted that way, they got shown it wasn't welcome. Yep. I want margaritas and Medicare for all. If I would run, that would be my platform. Brandon, what is your slogan for 2024? Margaritas and Medicare for everyone.
Yes.
And weed. Then that'd be it. I'd be like, be the worst ever. Thanks for the sub, Mythras. I appreciate it. Thanks for the follow, Sword on the Range. I like that name. Sword on the Range. I actually kind of convinced companies didn't give women pockets because we buy more to make up for it. I keep hearing so many things. I look into the whole pocket thing and I've heard so many different things.
Yeah.
I
don't know what they
I don't know.
Suspicious.
It's suspicious, but at the same time, exactly, right? I can't help but feel like if there was no legitimate reason to keep pockets off, because this is like the thing that I wonder about, because the thing that happens, especially with like people with power, is since they have no empathy, they really don't care. You know what I mean? Like some of the stuff that they say, it's not because they care. Sometimes it's about money, right? But if women really want pockets on stuff, and pockets and stuff are just there because of misogyny, there's going to be someone who's willing to profit off of that. So then they'd come out with a whole line of stuff with pockets, and they would sell it like that, and you'd find out it was owned by misogynists, because that's how it works, right? So the fact that that hasn't happened always makes me wonder, is the manufacturing thing? And so when I was trying to figure out if I could do yoga pants, I did some research, and what I heard a lot, and this is, but I've also seen opposites, so I don't know how much of this comes down to money, but pockets have to be designed a certain way, or they can't be manufactured well, or they rip just by basic stuff. So the issue supposedly with stuff like yoga pants or some skirts is that the material is too stretchy and they can't hold pockets. I don't know. So that's just what I read. I just don't know how much of that is like truth in the way they do it. But if they did it a different way, then it would be different.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I know shit would cost more.
Mm-hmm.
That's a given.
Would definitely cost more, and that's everyone's whole thing. They're like, but then how am I gonna afford gold-plated toilets by not being a terrible human fucking being? I don't know.
As far as $15 more for a pair of pants, they have actual pockets.
Yeah. I mean, I've consistently heard that. I've basically heard the equivalent of like, take my money if I could have this cute thing with pockets on it. And like, me as a human wants to just be like, yeah, of course. And then me as a business person is like, okay, how can I make this happen? Because this is
exactly
everybody. Like, it's I don't know. That's what makes me. That's what makes me wonder, like, what it has to be. But then I've also seen yoga pants that do have pockets. But I've seen how they're clearly not the same kind of yoga pants that a lot of people wear. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, like, is that a special design that they have that's, like, copyrighted? Or is that just a process they use? Or they're just willing to use a higher base quality that made those pants, like, $55 retail? I don't know. Business stuff that I wonder. I wonder a lot of weird stuff. I'm trying to catch up a chat, damn it. Yeah, if we had pockets, we wouldn't spend so much money on purses. Yeah. The purse conspiracy.
Yeah.
The purse conspiracy.
What?
I mean, I do kind of like the idea of like the villain being big purse industry. I'm just saying, that's like a comic book villain that I would write right now. Like I could think of so many weird things, and like it's a villain who has like a magical purse, and like it opens up different stuff from different like dimensions and shit, and it's just like, and Boss has this like 8 purses, and it's just like and it's like Gilgamesh with stuff coming out, but it's purses. Making up shit. I'm weird. Ignore me. It'd be like straight out of JoJo. It would be legit. I totally wear over my shoulder. My wife calls it my Chewbacca bag. I love it. I love it. I legit bought dress pants for work that had 4-inch deep pockets, so I cut up a t-shirt and extended them. Hell yeah, get the pockets. Yes, Lavender is a said. Yeah, I'm one of the weird ones that love eating flowers. You know, you're still cute though. What's up, Mr. Puddins? How's it going? How you doing today? It's a codifier for drywall punching white guys who think Axe body spray equals showering. Oh, yeah, that's true. They're like, I didn't shower for a week, but instead Axe body spray, you're like, no, you just smell like funk. You just smell like funk and death and like cheap. So I get that. I get that. I get that. Like, at least roll your ass in some like water and some soap before you hit the shit. Or whatever.
Like, all you gotta
Whatever.
do is take
Whatever.
like,
They lazy. They lazy. I think my hatred of it springs from the fact that boys in my middle school had no concept of moderation. Also true, where you think that like it has to, you have to spray enough so that you smell it, but you don't realize that your nose blind. So like, yeah. But like, I feel like that's where it comes into. I don't know. I don't want to be like, where's your dad's at? But I feel like these are the parts that like we don't talk about in male society sometimes. I don't know if it's like an embarrassment thing, but like no man in my life ever was like sat me down and was like, okay, Brandon, let's talk about how to like actually use one of these. No, you know what I mean? I had to like watch the movie. First time I saw the whole like it was in a movie. You like no adult male came up and was like, hey, just puff puff and that's it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and like I could have used that. I could use that knowledge, you know? So sometimes I think about like how much of it is that in a weird way we do this whole thing where we're like, well, being a man is like getting through all these pitfalls without dying. And it's like, well, you could have helped us by giving us like some pointers beforehand. It didn't have to be a whole kumite. And I just think about it sometimes because Axe is really cheap. And this is me, and I try to make sure I don't have like these overly like empathetic reactions or something like that. But I do know the prototypical like kind of shy, anxious kid doesn't have a lot of money, but he wants to smell good. And it's like sometimes now that we make fun of Axe body spray and it is the only cheap option, I don't know. I would like to also get some of this messaging in because I think we forget that this messaging doesn't actually naturally happen. It should. It should. Don't get me wrong. It should. It's just that right now it does not. Yeah. Smells so bad as when people practically bathe in it. It's the same thing with cologne. I'm a bathe in that polo. I am the man on the horse. Brandon for president? Oh god, no. They'd try to assassinate me day one. I'd be the most radical president in history.
don't get more shit done.
Oh man, it would be the greatest sprint 100 days. I'd be like, okay, how long do they have to try to impeach me? I'm like, cool. I'd be like, all right, that's over. You're free. They'd be like, what are you doing? What you should have been doing this whole time? Russell Brooks, I'm the money. Like, boom, boom, boom. That's gone. Oh man, it'd be terrible. Doing okay, just trying to take it a day at a time. As Axe like links because I'm not sure. Oh yeah, internationally. Oh no. Whatever your cheap cologne that the what do you got? How do you guys say it? The Chads wear? Yes. I want to learn the slang because I don't know. There's something about like slang from other places that's just hilarious that like I like. I'm just like it's so inventive. I'm like, ooh, this is so better. Is there an alternative for margs for those of us allergic to tequila? Yeah. I don't know my drinks like that though, but I know there is. I don't know what the name of it is. The 3 M's: margaritas, marijuana, and Medicare for all. That'd be my platform. What have they said about Axe? Also got to throw Brute into the mix. Oh, Brute. Is that a shit who's still around? This shit's so cheap. Well, that's the thing too. Like, no one ever teaches you like what the actual difference between the cheap stuff and the real stuff is, and why there is a complete gulf of difference between the two, right? Like, no one explains it to you as a kid. You're just like, what? There's a difference? Yeah. Spirit purse. I like that. Spirit purse. Should make it happen. That'd be dope. I wear stretchy jeans because I'm a fat ass, so they can make stretchy jeans with pockets. You would think that they would put pockets on their stretchy things. Like I said, sometimes it sounds like an excuse, but then I'm just like, it's hard to believe that someone wouldn't want to make money off of this because it seems so obvious. Maybe it's just. Like they'll sell people pet rocks. So, you know what I mean? Like it's not like they have a standard or anything, and it's not like they care. Like the same people who end up being racist will turn around and try to like support black people and sell that shit to us. Like when it comes to money, they don't care. That's why I'm curious. Like they'll sell their ethics down the road for enough money, and margaritas can be made with rum or vodka. The Purse of Holding. My dad used too much cologne too, but somehow my bro learned to do it better. Probably because he smelled your dad and like you're just like, because it's the same way for me. Like my dad was one of those dudes. He slapped that shit. Yep, just like your dad, I bet. Yep. You can hear it. So yeah, like I recognize that stuff is like how to not be. It's like, okay, don't want to smell like this ever. So
my brother threw up.
He's like, who?
In some polo, he said,
Axe me. Said, yeet. Like that was literally, I think that was literally me. I think did we have the same grandma? Like, no, because I think I literally got like the same. It was like a polo starter kit when I was like 15 or 16 or something. It had like polo, and it was whatever the polos were. I don't think they had like polo red at the time. It was like polo white, something else. And like the first time I smelled it, I was like, I had to. And like, you have that one time where you realize why you have to do the finger dab, and you forget, and you're like, and it's just, and it runs down your arm, and you're like, I'll wipe it out. It won't be that bad. It won't be that bad. And then the first time someone looks at you, you're like, oh God, I smell like a factory. The struggle is real. Voctoritas. I don't know how you say that. Ritas. That is Bob Bag. We don't bother fucking with Bob Bag. Oh God, I didn't know about that one. Oh my God, the polo starter kit. I think I got the same one for my birthday, right? It's just like those are the experiences I'm talking about that like bond people together, right? You know what I mean? I want to be able to reminisce about like our first polo starter kit because like, you know what I mean? Like, why can't it be cool customs like that? Like, why can't it be like here, younger men, here's a selection of various scents that you may like. If you don't like them, cool. But we just thought that, hey, these are commonalities. Like, I don't know, man. Just want to help the kids. Help the kids. Yo, my pop smell like an exploded gas station. When you got too much charm to be let down by the smell. Love it. You guys don't know, Ross Dress for Less, his name brand clothes, cologne, and perfume all in use for pennies on the dollar. What is this, a commercial? No, you true though. You right. They do. I think that's why I bought like the last one I had was at Ross. I feel like they get all that stuff discount from JCPenney's and whatnot anyway, so. BC Gas smells good. A lot of the people probably is one of those people. But fashion is often class signaling, so because it's almost entirely initially marketed and designed with the rich in mind, there's no need for the women to have pockets. But is it? I think that's where you have to separate rich people being the marks for fashion versus inventing the fashion. Most of your fashion trends like are not from rich people, right? Like they have things that they wear, but they're usually not even the things that regular people wear. Like that's when you get like the fancy gowns and stuff like that. But what does happen is there is such a thing as a market on fashion. If you want something to remain a high price, you can only have it remain a high price when other people cannot buy it or other people do not buy it. That's technically the whole reason we got off brands, right? Was because people wanted to actually wear that fashion because they enjoyed it, but they were not going to pay the price. And someone realized that, people do want these clothings if they can actually afford it. And that's kind of how that stuff happens. So like, that's my only pause because fashion in a way is people acknowledging stuff that they'd like. It's just a question of if they can afford it. And also you do have to keep in mind sometimes that is more of like a Western based view because especially if you go to more like indigenous places, fashion definitely is part of your heritage and it signifies either like where you're from or what you're interested in. Like there's self-expression built in that. But sometimes we're talking about is the appropriation part, where X rich person goes to, let's say, Africa and sees some headdresses and goes, hey, that looks really cool, having no actual understanding of the culture reasons why they wear it like that or why they tie it like that. They just think it looks fucking cute. So they take a picture, they go home, they copy pasta it, someone makes it for a dime on the dollar, and then they push it out there and they give it a new name, and all of a sudden, boom. That's more of the stuff that people are talking about when it comes to like the oppression of fashion. But like, it's quite hard to make people wear something they don't want to wear. People do use fashion to like create an experience for themselves. I've definitely noticed that, because it's a sense of being not sometimes the best you, but the you want to be at that time. So like, fashion presents those options, but if fashion is not an option for you, then it's not an option. And that's kind of why it's so highly debatable, because it's just so individualistic, but it's still in the market, you know? Ross is amazing. It's the best. Help the kids smell good. Bob bag is ball bag. You're nuts. You're too. Too good. Too good. Too good. To look at Kanye basically making chic garbage wear. Oh yeah, but also, well, also you have to keep in mind that that's Kanye like definitely knowing how to play the market, because like before Kanye died and came back as whatever weird version he is now, like some of his old original like lines were hella good. His dude's got fashion sense. So either, like I said, he died and came back and just lost all that, or what I really suspect is he just realized he can make fat money by selling this kind of stuff, because that's when you get into the whole Emperor's New Clothes syndrome that rich people get into. They don't even like it, but they know it makes them look a certain way because of the optics that they need for their survival, so they wear X weird thing. I don't know. That's just weird. But like early Kanye stuff, like he had a little, you're like, oh snap, he's gonna be a little designer, and then I don't know, broke out and died. I don't know what's going on now. Not like the old Kanye. Yeah, Kanye's on looks like Derek Tay fashion in Zoolander. Probably watched it. At least fashion is in. This is so last season. So last season. Can't believe he walked in here with that old 2019 stuff. Needs more frills. More frills. Gold frills. Platinum. Titanium even. This one came straight from the bottom of the sea. I don't even know its name. It's the only one alive. We killed it. Mink. It's soft. That's the kind of shit that I think. It's just so it's just so fake, right? That's the stuff that's just like, I hesitate to even call it fashion. Right? It's just like optics, you know? Because they don't, it's not empowerment for them. It's not about like any of the stuff that I think people in fashion would consider. It's just like status, you know? Telling you, I could have my own sitcom, but they'd pay me. I mean, I'd watch myself. I'd watch myself playing myself as myself just so I could take my own money. We need a bunny fashion line. I agree. I'm trying to help her out. So y'all been seeing her, she a cutie. So I'm kind of in the point where like I kind of want to do some fashion designs myself. Like I'm kind of ready for like a Swords Fall fashion line. That would be the fashion dude like you don't see. I don't want to be in no runway. I'd be like in the back of the crowd somewhere. You wouldn't even know it was my stuff. I'd just be like, this stuff looks so good. But it would be cool to see new stuff, you know. So both of you do it. We'll see. Anyway, I said my piece. I didn't mean to turn this into another random 2-hour stream. I just wanted to get something. I just wanted to be more clear about what I was trying to talk about earlier, because I didn't like the fact that it felt like some things were getting taken out of context and that my message was getting lost, right? Because I was like, I'm not ever trying to minimize anybody. Like, I'm really not. I just think that in addition to changing things, there's a few things we should try differently, and I think we should just, I don't know, figure out how men can be men in a great way that's very self-affirming and also not terrible for other people, you know? And that's all I was trying to get at. And like, I thought it made sense, and then like I came back and like I saw some wild stuff, and I was like, oh, I feel like I'm never speaking English anymore, and I'm like, So it was a lot of sighing, a lot of just like, I'd love to see a culinary scene, culture, and Swordsfell. Oh, you'd super will. You'll definitely see some food because everybody wants to see food. But for that one, before I throw any recipes, I actually am gonna like make sure they're real recipes. I don't want to be one of those people who put in a recipe that's total bullshit and can't be made. You know, if you get like a recipe from me, it's gonna be legit. You're gonna be able to make it, and it's gonna be tasty. So I don't know if that means that I'm gonna have to get some recipes together and actually try them out myself, which I might. I don't know. But yeah, when we get into like deeper food, I really want it to be like legit. And like I know where different cultures come from, so I already know like what kind of food they would be more likely to get into. So stuff like that. If you do, I will make them IRL. Yeah, I know a lot of people will. So I want to make sure they're legit. You know, I want people to be able to cook tasty stuff and then send pictures. Swordsfall Hot Pockets. Yes. I mean, I could probably put like a recipe. I got like a couple of classes like a famine pizza I might put in. I might put in a deep dish pizza recipe in there just to be like, ha, Pizza Wars, I win because it's my book. Watch out for the cookbook and also the bartender's guide in Swordsfall. Okay. We definitely need to get some drinks in Swordsfall. So I definitely want to. Yeah, we already have the. We already do have one. We already have one. So, which I do actually need to sit down and make that. The Tycor twist. It looked hella good. Which if you don't know, if you go on YouTube, one of the people in the tabletop community and a Swordsfall fan made an actual Swordsfall drink and filmed it and sent it in, and called the Tycor twist, and it's super good. Swordsfall tortinas. Oh, I've had those forever, man. I definitely lived off of those as a kid. Man, so many exploding ones onto the plate. Swordsfall shapes spaghettios.
All the king shapes.
I feel like people would bury me if I like went that deep. And people were like, "Oh, he's sold out. Look at him." Oh.
People were mad. Cloud Strife on cup of noodles, like.
Bro, like they weren't eating that shit up.
Like they also haven't been doing that for a year.
I'll throw you a link. Let me find it on the Swordsfall. Yeah, what do you want, homie? You ate. You've been petted. I need you.
No,
Be a bitch.
he doesn't want to be. He just kept running away.
Our cat is so ridiculous. He'll be like meow meow. You're like, cool, I'll come pet you, and he like runs away, and it's like, well, if you want to be petted, you have to stay here to be petted. If you run away, then I can't pet you. And then like literally like run out of your like hand reach, and then sit there and look at you and be like meow, and be like, and then you go move to like pet him, and he like runs back and looks at you, and you're just like, oh my god, can you not? You just decide that you want to be petted and be petted, please. It's like, why won't you pet me when I'm outside of the range of your arms? You greedy human. It's just like I can't go extension arms. I mean, if I could, I would, but I can't.
You're supposed to then get up and get food.
You're right. It's like the point is that you're supposed to realize that I actually want you to feed me outside of my feeding time. Which I know you won't do, but I'm gonna sit here and meow anyway until you think about it. Cat, come on
If I
now.
get annoying enough, you'll.
I mean, that tactic kind of works when you're a kid sometimes, right? You're like, how many times can I bug mom before she finally gives into what I can say?
It's on my sister all the time.
I wish that worked at my mom. I realized real quickly that, like, after the second time you asked if mom was in the mood to, cool. If not, you were about to get your ass beat. Ask a third time at your own risk. Like, how bad do you really want it, kid?
We'll just ask her.
So you say that, but you know my mom.
Yeah,
you
true.
you know my mom. She tiny, but she don't fuck around. She's like a ninja. She's like one of those like little tiny like black women. And like I remember, because like it happens as like as a teen where like when your mom's 4'11" and the second you're 5'1", and there's a little spark in defiance in you, and you're like, you know what? Today is the day I stand up to my parents, and just like, you know what? No, and you're all no, you're all confident, just like
Never mind.
no, and my mom was like, "What'd you say to me?" I'm just like, I said, no. I'm going to my room. You're just like, You're like, nope, nope. Like you just know.
You ground yourself.
When you ground yourself, you just it's like didn't have to say a word. Just the look is just like look. You're like a look of no, the look of try me, I dare you, and it's like no, I'm good. Go ahead, punk. Make my day. Go ahead. Oh, he's a cat. You nope right out the room. The type of mom that could turn footwear into dangerous boomerang. Concha! Now, my mom was like one of those old schools, so she'd get a switch, but she was fast. So, like ninja style. No joke. Was highly impressive. Speaking of my childhood, I'm glad. My grandmother had one of those moments with my uncle, her son. She told him even if she had to get a ladder and a 2x4 to get his attention, she would. I had those just like dead lies. Okay, buddy. I mean, you can say that as much as you want to, but you know that all that's gonna happen is you're just gonna get banned, and then like I'm still gonna keep doing whatever I'm gonna do. Like, come on, son, come on. And now you don't have a choice but to do anything but to sit there, because now that banned you, sure you can watch, but now you can't comment. So now I can tell you that racism actually does exist, and the fact that you came to the message to say that means it super exists, and it means that it exists so much that it scares you. And I'm sorry, but the whole thing you're built on, the whole supremacy, oh, it's coming down, my friend. It's coming down. So thanks for coming to Swordsfall, though. I appreciate the numbers. Keep watching me. So what were we talking about? Layering drinks is so fun and pretty, and that does sound. I need to learn how to actually layer drinks. I say need to learn like I've tried. I haven't, but I want to. I want to make fancy drinks. But yeah, everybody definitely go check out the video link, because it just needs more watches, period. I should actually share this. It's been a minute since I've shared. Because Kurt's good people too, so I'm gonna actually have to make this today. So by the way, if you make a mojito and use a spoon to layer in blue curacao, it looks really cool. You can replace the mint with spearmint or wintergreen for a different base taste. Plus those two mixed with it better. Don't know if it was so. I mean, I understand like half of what that means, but it sounds dope. So if someone wants to make it, I'll drink it or send it to me. Do you know what that means?
What?
Like what Babylon said. I don't know drink. I don't know mixology
yeah,
like that. So
I mean, I don't
she's got me.
But
Sounds tasty.
everything else, like I know how to layer drinks and all.
I'm down. Drink set, Casa Swordsfall. That was a weird form of trolling, and that's all they can do. Like, that's all they can do. Like, they can't say anything of note. If you notice, none of them actually try to engage with me in anything intellectual because they know that they can't. Oh. She never had to switch on me or anything. See, but you always seem like someone who's just like a good person, SJ. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wasn't a bad person, but I definitely was smarter than my own good at a young age, and my craftiness far exceeded my understanding of morals as a kid. So I was a kid who definitely needed to get whooped a few times. I'm 100% willing to admit that as a person. I needed at least 58.7% of the ass whoopings I got as a kid from my parents. I accept at least that fair share. Some more bullshit, but most of them I needed. 'Cause, yeah, I needed to understand that like things had weight to them, if that makes sense. Because I don't know, I was a smart kid, and adults could let me get away with way too much. My parents were very keen on making sure I understood that just because I could think something I could get away with it doesn't mean I should get away with it. And trying to get away with it better is not gonna help either. You know, so kudos to my black parents for that lesson instilled into the flesh. I don't have all the ingredients to make that drink. Well, we're gonna have to get an ingredient list because it sounds super tasty, and I love things that are pretty and colorful. And I'm here for it. Think of the switch I could avoid, but that belt was always ready to go. I got the belt and the switch. I got a toy once. It was a rough life. I always got whooped when I deserved it. Yeah. More often than not, for sure. And some of the false ones only happened because I caused so many real whoopings. So I also caused my own false alarm whoopings in a way. No? That's possibly a culture difference, but spanking being kids really doesn't sit well with me. Not saying anyone is. I mean, people want to say it's culture difference, but I'm gonna put it like this. Maybe isn't it more the fact that we've seen a more main culture about abusiveness? Because the thing about like, especially my family, is it wasn't that I didn't get love. Like you were shown very clearly where the line was, and when I went over the line, I got consequences. Don't want to get whooped. Don't follow bad things. So it wasn't like I just got whooped just because it was Wednesday. That never happened to me. Like I got whoopings because of consequences of things.
And they were always serious,
Yeah, it was always serious. I mean, it was just like it wasn't like it was like nothing. It was over stuff that was like blatantly me not listening, blatantly me disrespecting, me lying. I definitely had like a little spark when I was like klepto as a kid. I definitely deserved every one of those like butt whoopings. So I don't know. It's just different. And I think also sometimes people have to remember that, especially in something like the black community, they take those lessons deadly serious because there's an understanding that you really kind of only get one chance. That if, for me, I'm someone that I don't get to play around with being bad, right? One touch with the law system, that can be it. That can just be it. So sometimes you have to. I definitely know that some of the beatings weren't just anger. I don't want to say beatings, they were whoopings. I didn't get beat. I did not get beat. I got whooped. Because it had a reason, and it was something that I distinctly did that was wrong. And like I can tell you most of them, like, you know what I mean? Like it was a lot of stuff. But I can also tell how some of it was fear because like I was a black male, and like that hits different. Like there's certain stuff I could not do as a kid, and I didn't understand it. And I was the kind of kid who kept doing it, and time out wasn't gonna help when my parents were really worried about like my safety. So some of that was like, I don't know. I feel different about it because I 100% think I would not have been the same kid. Because like I said, I was smart. Like an empathy plug wasn't gonna really work for me. I really knew what I was doing was wrong. I was the kid, and I didn't understand the ramifications of that. I didn't understand why doing wrong was wrong. It was just like, well, I want this thing and it's good, so why not? You know, and it took longer to understand that than the time when I could be in danger for doing those things. So like, I don't know. I always think it comes back to those things of like being a parent and actually like caring about your kid. You know what I mean? Like you shouldn't be wanting to harm your kid for satisfaction. You know what I mean? Like this is just stuff like that, and things are complicated. But I have a hard time with it because I feel like we've all met someone who I feel like people have been like, man, you didn't get spanked as a kid and it shows. And I don't know, I've heard that. You just know there are some people who you can tell they've never had to really deal with a consequence. They really never had to deal with a consequence. Like, yeah, they got told stuff and whatnot, but they never felt it. You know what I mean? And like abuse is bad, but like, I don't know. You can tell someone who's just never really had a consequence. I don't know. I don't want to make a culture or anything like that. I just there has to be like an escalating line. And for me, I definitely like went past the point where like, cool, put me in timeout. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just think about it practically. Like, there was nothing else my parents could have done. Timeout didn't work because I was hella imaginative. Give me time by myself with nothing to do. Okay. You know what I mean? You would have had to like sit me in a room in a corner, and like, how's isolation also not bad? You know what I mean? Like, punishment is supposed to be bad because it's a punishment. It's just that you're not supposed to like scar your kids. You know, you're supposed to be teaching them and elevating them and showing them life, but like keeping them safe. You know what I mean? And it's complicated. It's complicated. It's complicated. You know what I mean? Latina mom always went for the wooden spoon. Oh yeah, I've seen the spoon. I had a number of like Hispanic friends when I was growing up, and I had those like moms where it's like, cool, you're in my house, you're my kid. So I've definitely gotten the dunk to the forehead before. Like, that was fast. Where did that come from? That's a weird area. When I hear white people talk about them being spanked as a child, it seems like it's less intensive, but also more random, like being spanked for almost nothing. When our POC other cultures talk about being spanked, it's much more intensive in treatment, but for reasons that seem, I don't want to say justified, but understandable. I mean, yeah, it's supposed to be understandable. Like, you don't whoop your kid for no random reason. Why? It's a punishment. A punishment is supposed to come after someone has done something specifically bad. And because they're a kid, you're supposed to give them latitude and this wide range before you get to corporal punishment. But like, and that's the way it is with black families. Like, I only got whooped when I really did something bad. If I just did something that was like, I feel like there's things that white kids get spanked for that I would have gotten talked to. My parents have been like, Brandon, come here. And I'd be like, oh shit. Or like in the class, it was like, Brandon Dixon. I'd be like, what'd I do? You know, like, I'd get lectured. Like, and like, people get lectured, but like, I don't want to be that guy, but like, you've been like lectured by an old black person? Lecture like they will lecture to your soul. They will like get deep down and be like, let me tell you how you done fucked up. You're like, oh, what? Like, it's, you know what I mean? So like, there's escalation. So by the time you get to whooping, it's a frustration of, you've been told this X amount of times. This is not new. This is a flagrant disrespect. And that's why I say, like, by the time I get to the whoopings, I never got whooped for nothing new. Mm-hmm. I got whooped for exactly what I knew I was going to get whooped for, and I just thought I wasn't going to get caught or didn't care. You know what I mean? Like,
get a whooping. You deserved it, and you know it.
And my problem was I was a smart enough kid who spent too much time trying to figure out how to avoid getting spanked rather than avoid doing the thing that got me spanked. That's what kept getting me spanked. I kept trying to game the damn system, not realizing that I couldn't. Like, I had to learn not to do the bad damn thing. You know, so I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's always supposed to be about moderation and understanding and stuff like that. And when you lose that, you lose the whole thing. Because, like, it also is about knowing your kid. There are some kids who you do not have to touch. There are some kids who just a stern look melts their soul. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have those kids, so you adjust to those kids. You adjust to your kid. I was not that kid. You could not shame me to feel bad. I was not that kid. I was smart enough to know you were playing me. You had to whoop me. Had to. You know? Had to. I won't speak for anybody else, but I will 100% accept that I was that kid. I'm glad. You know? And also, there was a little part of me who acted bad because I was lashing out because of the only things that was happening, not at home, but at school, like getting bullied and shit like that. Like, there was a lot of complicated things in that, you know what I mean? So. My mom and dad were the same as Brandon's, only when I deserved them and to teach me a lesson. Yeah. Supposed to be disciplined. I've never met anyone that got whooped as a kid and wishes they didn't, other than white kids. One day I seen the puff of my grandma's cigarette. Whoop! Yup. My dad didn't have a belt, so he used his plastic brush in my hand and it broke. We died laughing in the middle of punishment. Then the plastic ones that yep. Exactly what you're talking about. And see, that's the culture part that I think people miss. There's so many commonalities. It's stuff like that.
And like things middle of punishment, I hurt, and we were still laughing because we both know why we're both there, and like that's
that, you know. There was a few times I had one of those confusing ones, and it's just it's messy because being a parent's messy. Being alive is messy. Jesus, like messy is messy. So look, what it is, the day is long, but I was essentially raised Hispanic. Portuguese culture is basically Sam's choice. Spanish culture, I've kind of noticed that a little bit. Like, I've had some friends that are there and from otherwise, especially being first gen. I've been whipped as a kid, but it was only because I earned that shit. I won't talk about my childhood because I'm outlining this case, but I'm trying to understand both sides. I also want to be clear. I'm really not trying to defend or imply anyone's raised incorrectly. No, it's just, like I said, it's the whole purpose is supposed to be a tool. It's supposed to be like a tool in the belt. Like it's the stick after the carrot. Like you don't start with the whooping, you start with talking to them and explaining to them. And like it's just the stick at the end of it. And because some people are lazy and they want to get what they think are results, they try to skip to the end. And that's just the failings of humans in general. People like to cut corners when they don't want to do the work, not realizing that all 28 steps is why it worked. And sometimes you have to do all 28 fucking steps, and people don't want to do 28 steps, or they think they saw 28 steps, but they didn't. You know, stuff like that. You know, like I'm not gonna jump to whooping my kid, and like I'm gonna talk to you because I'm trying to make you be better. But like if there's certain things I tell you not to, and I know that if you keep doing this, it's going to really, really, really hurt you. Not in my imagination, not because something I wouldn't do, but if you doing this is gonna end you up in jail or hurt or depressed or suicidal, not like I have to because I love you. So yeah, you're gonna be mad at me for a while, but hopefully you won't do this, and eventually you'll realize why, and you'll be safe. Because like sometimes kids like. Our bodies outrun our minds, and especially with the way life is, it's even worse. You know what I mean? You can see shit as a kid that you can't process and understand for years, but here it is. So sometimes you're just trying to keep them from nut until they can realize why. But like, communicate with your kid first. Love your kid. Like, talk to your kid. Use the carrot first. Like, you know what I mean? But sometimes you gotta whoop that ass. I'm just saying. I feel like. People like Brock Turner is a classic example of someone who never got his ass whooped as a kid. He needed it. I knew when my mom was on her last nerve, I got the first name, middle name, confirmation name, the surname. Yup. Like that was your last call out. And it's like, you had to learn those lessons. Like, like surrender. Learn to take the L, For me, it was both my middle names. Woolord, yep. For me, it was like the first, middle, and then last, but it was like with sass. And like each one had like a punch. It was like, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, oh no, what did I do? And you're like thinking of all things you did today. Like, oh God, I don't even know. Let it be something that wasn't me. One, a whooping is not beating a child. A whooping would be like a spanking or getting them popped in the hand, not trying to inflict mass damage or leave bruises or anything. If you're trying to inflict damage, you've gone way the fuck wrong. Why whoop the booty? I mean, it's the whole reason why we whoop the butt. It's the whole reason why whoopings are on the butt.
It definitely got guys.
Yeah. And that's how you're supposed to. It's just, it's just. Nah, man. Holy names, you right. It's just, it's about discipline, and love your kid, man. Like we have a tendency to like forget all the little stuff, I should try my damnedest not to spank my kids, and it's an absolute rarity that I take it that far because I feel there's alternatives that are just if not more effective. Yeah, I mean, you gotta know your kids. Some kids never need it. I didn't get punished much as a kid. I was your classic goody two shoes, and when I did, it was either a lecture or spanking. Never both, and there never really was a real link between. That's the kind of stuff that's weird to me. I knew exactly what was gonna end up with a whooping. I knew exactly what was gonna get a spanking. I knew exactly what was gonna get a talking to. And honestly, it was like my choice as a dumb little kid, which option I wanted to take. My dad was also a cop, and I knew if I spoke the way I did or acted the way I did out of the house and towards the cop, I would have got a doing, and that sometimes ends bad ways. Yeah, it's a different level, though. And that's the thing, too. Some kids don't even need that kind of punishment. Some kids you can just talk to or put in time, if that works. Yep. Some kids are just melt. They just did the thing because impulsiveness. So you're trying to like help them through that impulsiveness because they didn't mean to. And there's a lot of kids like that. And there's kids like me who are like, oh yeah, I knew. I just didn't think you knew. I was always able to talk things out. My mom's like, I spanked like twice ever. Ooh, good kids. See, a lot of y'all are just good kids, and I get that. But like, whoopings are for bad kids. I don't mean that in a bad way. And I know people have used it in the wrong way. But I mean, sometimes a kid is legitimately being a shit ass. You know it. I know it. That's when you whoop. That's you know what I mean. Standards. eBay, that is way the fuck out of bounds for self reasons. It's not a whooping, that's a boost. Full stop. I'm sorry. Yeah. Like full on. Like nah. Like I whoop with like a hand and a belt and a switch, and it's like that. But like no, that's abuse. And that's what I mean. Like people who were abusers will try to use things like that as justification. I was whooping it. I'm like no, we did it with the belt. I just couldn't sit down for an hour, and then I was playing video games an hour and a half after that, and we ate ice cream 4 hours after that. That's different. That's abuse. That's like, you know what I mean? It's just, and this is sometimes where I think that the issue with devaluing minority culture starts to actually impact white culture, because I don't want to say it's borrowed per se, because those things are commonalities. But oftentimes people will point at black culture and how we have never really stigmatized what we call whoopings and stuff like that. And sometimes like we over exaggerate, and we do have our own abuse for sure, but we deal with that our own way. But since white culture doesn't really particularly pay attention to it as a whole, just parts of it, sometimes I feel like they picked up that minority whoop culture of it. But when you honestly want to get down into it, Latin culture, black culture, it's really honestly for boys. It's a whipping culture to try to get some of the stuff that makes men do terrible stuff out of them. And I'm sitting there trying to figure out how to talk about this without getting weird about it, but like I feel like that's how, when you have guys who have that I feel like there's an energy. Now I want to say this without stereotyping, because it's not my intention. But you ever met a guy that someone you don't like, and they just have this energy around them, right? This sort of vibe, like they could just do something, anything, and there's like an unpredictableness to it. Like you can't really, not even like a trust thing. I don't know. They just have us feel like they could just do something, and they'd be totally fine with it. Like you could just be like, hey, let's go rob a bank, and they'd be like, yeah, you know what I mean? There's sometimes you meet men like that, and when they're kids, they very much are those kids who do get into that stuff. And I think you have to be able to recognize when you see that kind of a personality trait, and then know that you have to be able to get them to stop it early, so that when they're older, they can like hold on to that. You know what I mean? And it's just, you don't want to abuse kids. I don't know. It's just, because then you have the people who on the flip side, and this especially happens around the suburbs, kids who have never been punished, who like, yeah, they've gotten grinded, they've gotten stuff taken away, but it doesn't resonate, so they keep doing that stuff. They learn just better ways to be shitty to people, and because they've never had anything bad happen to them, that's okay. It's like Donald Trump. Donald Trump is someone who never got spanked as a kid, who needed it.
Mm-hmm. Can I spank him right in his face?
He'd probably lay in his face. Can I spank him in his face with a closed palm?
A closed fist ball.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm sorry about that, babe. But yeah, this is definitely a whole difference. Like, there was 100% realizing, and I was like, yep, and I'm about to get whooped, and this sucks. Why did I do that? And you know why you did it. That's the bullshit part. You're like, why did I do this? You know why you did this, my dude. Like,
you know it while you're doing it. I cannot tell you how many times I've been in the middle of doing some shit and been, I'm gonna get whooped. I'm
still gonna do it. Yeah, because you're a kid. You're like, you know. And that's always like that line you play with as a kid, where you're just like, you're tempting your own fate, kid. And you're like, maybe this time they won't be that mad. You're like, bro, you did this last week. You know. But like I say, it just kind of comes down to what kind of kid you are and what kind of parent it is, and a lot of your kid. Yeah, pretty sure it's illegal too. Yeah, I was gonna say pretty sure that, yeah. If that's not illegal, it should be illegal. When May spanked my butt with a spoon, it was more about the sound than inflicting pain. Like, causing pain isn't cool. Nope. Thanks for insight the difference between abuse and discipline. I'm not a parent, but I don't feel like I bring myself to use physical discipline. Do you feel it's a necessary tool for bad kids? It's just... Yeah, because, I mean, I am a dad. Right? I don't talk about a lot because it's complicated, and honestly, if anybody doxes my kid, I might snap them in half, so I don't like to even play it like that. I really don't. I have zero chill when it comes to certain things in my life, so I don't even tempt fate, right? But I just realized some things were different early on, right? Because you realize very quickly that a kid is a whole ass human being. And the only reason they're a kid is because they don't have enough knowledge and understanding to guide through life. But they are a whole ass human. And they have a whole ass personality somewhere that they don't even know yet. So sometimes, like, the joy of being a parent to me, at least, is watching, like, their little personality come to life and seeing, like, what kind of a person are you going to be? And I think if you want to be an ideal parent, you just want to help them be the best of them they can be, not by taking stuff out, but being like, oh, you want to be this cool? Then, like, is this thing positive? Is it good? Is it healthy? Cool. Okay, then yeah. Lots of this you're into. Oh, no, anymore. You're into this? Okay. Is it happy, healthy, like good? Okay, yeah. And that's, all you're supposed to do. But, like, sometimes your kid will play in the muck. And if you want to get nerdy, it's like that classic when you start turning to the dark side, right? If your kid starts to look into dark elements, because your kid will, every kid will eventually have that moment where they have an interaction with what we call something dark. It just is. It's part of human. Like, you're going to touch that. And the thing about a kid, because they don't know experiences, they don't have those things that have told them, well, this will be good or this will be bad, they play with it. They play in it. And because they're so young and malleable, it's easy for them to take those things as is. They can take those things and think that this is reality and this is truth. And if you take that at a young age, that can warp who you are as a being. And that's what we're afraid of. That's kind of what makes toxic men, if you want to break it down like that. It's learning these core components of, I have to get power through by whatever means necessary. And even if it means hurting someone, it's okay as long as I get what I want. And having that validated at a young age is how you get to do that with such confidence at an older age. So sometimes I think it comes down to, as a parent, assuming like you've had these experiences, being able to recognize when your kid is playing in a land that they do not understand that can really hurt them. And so sometimes discipline is about trying to give them a reason not to, because you don't have a good reason not to. That's where this stuff gets dirty, Sometimes there's things that a kid wants to get into that you can't actually give them a valid reason no, right? It's just that if they do this thing or do these things may happen, but they're so bad that it's worth worrying about. But as a kid, if it's not tangible, if it's not in your hand, if it's not ice cream in my mouth, you can't get those things. You can't get intangible concepts as a kid. That's why we say things are for kids and some things are for adults, because they cannot. You can barely understand it as an adult, and you usually understand it by extrapolating and using experiences that they literally have not had yet. So for me, I think the discipline is supposed to meet, aka the crime. But because you are punishing, in a sense, someone who looks to you as their everything, you have to remember that everything you do is going to be magnified. So while, yeah, your kid may have done something bad, you have to remember that it's still your kid, and those actions will carry. So if you want to have this negative reaction to something, you have to know that by whooping them, they will have a negative reaction to whatever it is. So you have to make sure it's negative. So if your kid goes and steals some shit, you want them to have a negative thing pop through their head every time they think about stealing something. That's the response you do want. And I think that's the part about parenting that we have a hard time talking about, because it's knowing which things you want to really, in a sense, scar your kid, because that is what you're doing. But that is kind of what you have to do. And that's where things get so wishy-washy, because then it's justification and it's a question of like, is this real or is this in your mind? And that's when you get into the perils of parents and kids and all the complicated shit, right? But at the end of the day, it's just supposed to be about understanding that kids are a sponge, but they are a whole person, and that you can't really make them do much. You can highly suggest, and within the confounds of what you can, make them, but you realize real early a kid is they are already a human. They just don't know it yet, right? So the punishment should just fit what you want. So if I whoop my kid, it's because I know in my soul of my souls that what they're doing can hurt them. And only then do I whoop them. And that is your responsibility also as a parent to keep your fucking list updated. So let's be real about that shit. Some people are still trying to whoop out of a book from the 1970s, and it's not 1970s, it's 2020. So that's real too. Like, you got to update your book, you got to update your lexicon. But like, there's a sticky element that happens when you know that your kid can be playing and stuff. Because how often do we sit here and see some case about someone doing something and we go, where were the parents? We can't say we're the parents if we're also going to say you can't do this and that. Because what am I going to do if my kid is into some really skeevy shit? If I'm a parent, like, I'm going to be real. I'm going to be real for a second. This is trigger for anybody. If I'm a parent and I have a teenage boy and he starts saying some weird stuff, if he starts saying some insult stuff, what am I going to do, right? If you have a teenage boy and he even has a hint that he thinks rape is okay. You know what I mean? Like there's moments that people have to be real, that like when you get to a certain point, you have to be real about like how serious do you take this and how do you want to do it? And that's supposed to be like a fuzzy line that as a parent you do live with, and that's the kind of price you pay for bringing something into the world. Like, I don't want to sound like a negative, but like it is, you know? So you just want to guide them so that they can be like the best person and stuff like that. But there are points to where as a human, they will get into the murk, and you have to decide how are you going to course correct that. And if they don't take the course correction, then what do you do? And that's it. But you shouldn't be just beating your kid because it's a Tuesday and you're mad because your work sucked. That's your problem. And people do parent from that, and that is wrong with no exceptions. You do not beat your kid with objects that leave scars. You do not do that. There's no exceptions. But when it comes to how you discipline your kid, a lot of it has to go with like, what are the lessons you want them to lead with? You know what I mean? And only then that's when you apply that. And I know as far as for me as my parents, I never got anything grody, but I know with my parents, a lot of it came from knowing that there's certain lessons that it didn't matter if I liked it or not. I had to take it, and I had to recognize that that was how the world worked. And there is a little bit of that where you just got to teach the kid, like, look, kid, I get it. You want to do this, and normally I'd let you, but that's not how the world works. And you have to be able to accept that that's not how the world works until the world works like that. And those are concepts a kid can't understand. So you just kind of have to like make them just avoid it until you get to adult and you're like, But also that's like where the parenting doesn't stop. That's where like, especially I think with like our older generation, we have it to a lot of the times they do feel bad about how they spanked us and whatnot. Or they want to pretend like they never did, which doesn't really help. Like, it's not that they take the L, but it's like, yeah, you did it. You don't have to feel bad about it. Like, we're grown now. We can have a cool relationship. Like, we both took L's back then. Like, honestly, like when you spank your kid, no one wins. That's the thing too. Like, you're not gonna feel good after you whip your kid. You're gonna feel terrible. Dude, but you're taking the L's so that like they grow up better. Like, you know what I mean? If there's not that sense of taking a loss, then like there's no positive per se. The positive comes with them not falling over whatever cliff they're about to fall over. You know what I mean? It's like the whole like, don't put hands on someone. Well, if someone's about to fall off a cliff, then that's okay when it's hands on it. And it's only they, you know, it's that specific level to it. There's a specificity to it, but also like it's not so specific because the situation itself will be different. But like, you know, there's like measures to it. Like, it's like the classic, like there's a code to the whooping belt. Like, you know what I mean? You just don't use it on anything, you know? So anyway, I didn't mean to get deep in this stuff, but like, it's something I thought about a lot, you know what I mean? Because like, especially I noticed as people felt a different way about spanking. Like, I told a story about how I got whooped one time, and there's a group of white people, and they all looked at me like I was an abused kid, and I was like, like, I didn't tell you that. And I was supposed to sorry for me, like, no, like, I filled my backpack full of gum I tried to steal out of the supermarket. I deserve the ass whooping. I knew not to. I thought I had a slick plan. I was a 12-year-old kid. I needed that. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just like it's the understanding the why. You know what I mean? So I'm not forget about disciplining my kid. Like, I'd rather just have fun and watch whatever strange show is on that she watches that I'm trying hard to understand, and I realize I'm getting older and I don't understand certain stuff. You know what I mean? But, you know, like, some stuff has to happen, you know? So There's also something to say that like we've lost a little bit of like the tribe mentality that helped out, because there are some parents who may not be able to punish their kid correctly. So you did used to have a little bit more of a village. Like I definitely had it when I was younger. Like I or like literally had it one time where me and my friend got into some trouble at his house. His mom got mad, whooped him, called my mom. My mom was like, no, whoop him. She whooped me. And I'm like, did my mom give permission for another grown? Oh, I was hot. I got home and I was like, Mom. She's like, yeah, well, you were at someone's house. You messed up. You knew better. You got a whooping then. And then I got a whooping at home. I was like, this is this is bullshit. But in hindsight, it was valid. Like, come on now. Like, you're at someone's house and you started some stuff. So, yeah, you started stuff in someone's home. They got to punish you because you started shit in someone else's home. And you got home and, yeah, you got punished because how dare you go out and represent this family and act like fool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just that. It's just this. It's about the circumstance. And not holding it over your kid. Like, I see some weird stuff from white families where, like, they'll spank a kid and, like, bring it up all the time. And it's like, why? Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Like, when I got spanked, that shit got left off until literally I was just about to do something that was about to get me re-whooped. Then they were like, you remember? And I'm like, flashback. I'm like, oh, I'm good. Let me course correct. Like, other than that, like, it just, like, come on now. Like, we don't want to do other stuff with our life, you know? I guess your chat. Yes, some of my parents don't even want to say no to kids. See, gotta learn to have that now. To sidetrack, I can message you later, but I think I made a perfect recipe for a drink that would reflect the Ginju. Oh, yeah. We'll take all the drink orders. All the drinks. All about it. 110%. I've never felt good about spanking my kid, period. I always have felt like shit because I know they don't have the knowledge I do. Exactly. That's the hard part, Anno. Because you know they don't know. You're just like, hold on, kid. You're going to get it, and hopefully you'll understand why, but you can't do this. You just listen to me and just don't do it when we don't have to do this. But you won't, and we're here. You know, like, that's what it should feel like. It's, you know, and also when you do it the right way, your kid gets it. Like, I knew when I was getting whooped, and I knew not to. It just took me like a couple extra years to be like, oh yeah, I just shouldn't. But sometimes that's all it is. Like, it's just it's the little things where there's no tangible reason or the fact you just shouldn't. So, you know, that's it.
Like, we all have.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're just like, you know what? I'm just not.
And I feel like that's like your first step toward maturity, when you have the ability to do something that might get you whooped and you decide not to do it, not because of the whooping, but just because,
yeah,
nah, I don't need that mess. Yeah, like, that's it. And
it's
not even about the whooping anymore, you know what I mean? Because, like, it really made you just stop to think about your actions, which was the whole point. And then eventually get old enough to realize the action itself is not going to be good, and then you stop doing it, and then it all falls away, you know? But it's complicated. I'm not the only one that watches a cartoon with a kid and says, I don't get this. Oh yeah, I tried, and I legitimately will try to get it, but there's some stuff I'm just like, this is great. Moms be conspiring. Oh, bro, conspiring. It was savage. It was, man. Tell you, we learned a lesson though. Lesson learned. I was kind of salty. He only got one whooping and I got two whoopings. But then as I realized, that's what happens when you throw at the away game. Never the away game. You always take the home game because you only take one whooping. I learned that lesson. Only start shit on the home games. I was gonna mention that community used to take part in raising you as well. And also regulating, man, because sometimes like one parent would get overboard and one parent's be like, hey, you need to tone it back a little bit, you know. And if there's people in your community, you're like, oh, okay, yeah. And then that's when the adults are like, all right, what's happening with you? And that's when the adults take care of the adults, help take care of whatever stress they were trying to take out of some shit out of the kid, because it wasn't about the kid, it was about their shitty ass life, you know what I mean? And we're supposed to take care of each other because this shit's multifaceted and complex, and it can't. There's no way for it to be simple because humans are complex and life is complex and there's a cajillion things moving at one time. You know? And one make a weed drink? You can. I'm not a big fan of edibles as consumables just because, yeah, I don't like the weed taste, and the amount of effort you have to go into hiding the cannabis taste, I usually don't like the after product. I'm down to be convinced otherwise, but so far I've tasted quite a bit, quite a few of them. Smoke my weed and drink my booze. Then when you go tell your parents, I get it, then they say, thank fucking Christ you finally do it. They're like, oh my God, we can stop now. Yeah. You know, because, you know, like for part of them also want you. I think sometimes the weird thing to realize as an adult is your kids want you to be an adult quick, but they also don't want you to be an adult quick. They just want you to be adult enough to stop fucking up so they can have fun, but young enough to like still have the whole like, you're my pet. Let's be real about that. Like, there's a little bit as your kid is like your favorite person, their thing to be around. You're like, wait, no. I feel like you really changed my perspective, Brandon. This is tough because my partner was abused as a kid, and I don't think she'd ever be okay with physical discipline or even discussing it. Yeah, I mean, and that's always those things that impact that, and that's always why you have a discipline gap per se. Right? But I also would ask people to look around and ask themselves how much of what we're in is because some people don't know consequences anymore. I mean, legitimately about that. So there's always, every action has a reaction. And I think that sometimes we like to talk about things like doing one thing has such an overwhelmingly superiority to it that it is the only way. Versus that, hey, in X times we've realized that a little bit more of X than Y when Z happens on the end of the day is better. And that's really what's happening. Like, there is such a thing as times getting more modern to where there's more safety rails that make it less likely for a kid to do the things that got whooped in the 80s. Therefore, those things are off the thing. Like, you know what I mean? Things change and they evolve. But sometimes we tend to be like, well, we're civilized now. We don't spank our kids. And it's like, do you watch the news? Because where's the improvement? That's sometimes what I ask, like, where's the improvement? You know. That's fair. This is one perspective. Your partner's is also valid considering it's tough, but there's lots of ways to discipline just as long as it is done when needed. I mean, it's about the kid. It's not so much that you only spank your kids, you don't only spank your kids. It is about you, parent, X, your kid. Some kids never ever need a whooping. And I don't want to make like sweeping things, but I would say that the tendency of people who don't like spankings, who are abused, were people who probably never ever needed a whooping as a kid. They were never that kind of kid. They were the kind of kid who could have been done at a stern talking to and a light go to your room and don't come down, and that's it. And those kids don't need more than that. And that's where adults have to understand that you're shown a tool set of things that we have only kind of known that sort of kind of work, and maybe we'll add new tools later on and take them out. Like it never changes, right? Because people change, so therefore parenting changes with it. It's just that I feel like sometimes we take out a tool that is important because I don't know. And I just, everybody knows someone. I just feel that truly you have seen a kid that you know for a fact there is nothing you could have said to that kid to make them stop, right? We have met those, and that's all I'm saying. Like, that's what whooping is for that kid, not for every kid, not for even that kid for eternity, for that kid for that moment in a specific amount. It's like medicine, you know, it's like most things. It's moderation. Like, you're not supposed to whoop a kid till you're tired. Like, come on now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's supposed to be like, you did this, bad things happened. While technically, really, how it's supposed to work, like I hate to like get too involved into it because like it's not like I even spank that much. It's just it comes up so often. But like the way like if you look back, it was supposed to happen is like you're teaching the lesson well. So you're not just wailing on a kid. You're like, how many times did I tell you we don't steal in this house? That's a whooping. That's a whooping. There should be no mystery. It should be ever apparently clear. Like. It's in a way, it's almost like a social contract. Like, the kid is supposed to have the option to avoid the whooping, but not doing the thing that to get the whooping because the thing is actually bad. Not because you are a terrible parent and you decided these things. And that's where, like, the adult community is like, hey, that's not whooping, that's abuse. Not dump the whole thing out, you know? Damn, so the more syllables of transgression, the more whoops. I mean, yeah. I mean, it kind of was like that. Like, there was like a whole, like, you know what I mean? Like, because that's what I'm saying. I never got whooped for anything simple. It was never like, it's Tuesday. Like, it was some shit. It was like a whole, how many, I mean, like, I'm pretty much telling you what happened. It's like, how many times? Like, that was almost always how every whooping started. How many times? You're like, yep. How many times? Sometimes it was like I had to answer. How many times? I'm like, too many. Because you know. Because you know. Because you know. You know, because you know. Like, you'll get whooped over, like, petty stuff. Like, that makes you a petty parent. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you knew. I knew. And there's, like, this annoyance. You're like, damn, they caught me again. Not realizing the point is not to be caught in the first place, bro. You know? And it's just, it's that kind of stuff. You're in a weird way, like, kids are crafty. Kids are really crafty. Kids are crafty in ways that adults have a hard time with because kids don't know the rules yet. So everything is an option. Everything is on the table. A kid doesn't know he can't fucking fly, so flying is part of the fucking plan. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, kids are crafty like that. And so that's all you're trying to do. You're trying to maneuver these little tiny humans who are, like, way craftier than they should be, trying not to get them killed. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, the rest of the time you have fun and love your kids. You know what I mean? So I hate, I'm one of those dudes, like, I'm just as much like, if I see you, like, pop a kid in a way that's abused, there's a pause and you're gonna look over and there's gonna be a big ass black man giving you a death stare, and I'm just like, that was a one-time event, am I right? You know what I mean? Because no, it's not okay. I mean, and as an adult too, I feel like I can tell when an adult is not actually spanking a kid, when it's like, this is some real shit that you got going on, my friend, and you need to go home and unpack your shit, you know? And that's also why it's like, thing as a parent is like not spanking your kid when you're angry, which people will do because they use the anger to cover up the fact that it feels bad to spank your kid. You're supposed to take the L. It doesn't feel good to spank your kid. Your kid doesn't feel good to spank. Nobody wins in this. And there's not supposed to be a winner. Yeah, so don't spank your kid when you're angry. Spank him when you're not angry. For one, you won't actually, like, you won't have a chance of hurting your kid because you won't have any, like, weird shit going through your veins or adrenaline. But, like, you know what I mean? Like,
but also kids are enough. Like, it's not like animal where you have to.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
We're
yeah.
complex enough to like understand, like, oh, she can't whip me right now, but I'm going to get a whooping for it.
Exactly. And like some ways that makes it worse as a kid because you're dreading it while like you have a moment to think about think about the whole ordeal. You're like,
sometimes I got out of
if I just zigged when I could have zagged. Yeah, and I have gotten out of that when they're like,
my
look,
parents would just let me like stew on it all day, and then like if I was sorry enough and like acted like I really understood,
because you had one of those like you were trying to like jump on the ground, you're like, oh shit, I'm about to get whooped. I figured out what I did. Okay. I should have done this because I did this. Blah blah blah. But like, please, like,
Yep.
And as a parent, that's what you're looking for. You're like, cool. You realize what you did was wrong. Now you know consequences are coming, and so now it's about you not doing it. I just need you to understand that you're trying to avoid being bad, not just the consequence. Like, you know what I mean? You're trying to get them to understand it. Like, hey, man, it's hard. It's rough. Like, it's something else, man. But it's also really fulfilling when you get to like see them be like them, you know, like the moment when the kid is really like their personality, you see it, like heartburst, like that's what the moment's for, you know. You guys are making me laugh, you make me think. I try. I just had shit to say today and Twitter was on my nerves, so this is probably a good to end the stream. Eat some food. I have a few work things I want to finish up today and shit like that. But yeah. Love your peeps, love your kids, love everybody. Be inclusive. Don't be a dick. Be the best kind of you can be. Be a good example for your peeps, for your kids, for your community. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, I want everybody to just be whatever the hell they want to be and be happy. I'd much rather, as I keep saying, I'd much rather be talking about anime, eating gummies and shit, but we got isms to fight, so here we are. One ism at a time. And today, no isms. The look is the last hope they have. Yeah. If you don't stop right now, you're gonna regret that shit. They now know when they see the look to stop in place, it's like a goddamn T-Rex. They don't move. Yeah. You're like, oh shit. And be game, do crime. Exactly. All right. Let's see if we can dump some. Let's see who's streaming right now. Give them a good old raid. And I got some writings to do and some website things. There's some things I want to do. Oh yeah, because I forgot to put the April award for the members. So well, if you are a member on the website, you'll be getting a wallpaper here today. I should be throwing that up. So we're not gonna support Valorant because that game kind of makes me mad right now. League of Legends, Dark Horse Comics is streaming. I don't know why. Man, ain't not a lot, but y'all wanna anybody partial to Final Fantasy? And drop us a Kiki Bay. Gotta support my ladies of color. Cause you know how I do. All right, y'all. Let me set up this raid, and everybody be on your way and have a good day. Stay inside. Wash your damn hands, which is gonna be like the motto we walk away with for 2020. Like we kind of know like our unofficial audience slang now. It's gonna be like, what did we learn from 2020? Wash your damn hands. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming to the random stream as I randomly rant. I appreciate it. Check out swordsfall.com, all that good stuff. Check me out on Twitter, swordsfall.1. Hug your kids. Don't beat your kids. Be a good person. Everybody take care. And yeah, have a good day.
Can I pause this without skipping this? I'm too nervous to try.
Right now, damn it! Another day, another victory. How do I do it?
Welcome everybody from Swords Falls community. Hi, I'm Kiki. I'm a variety streamer. I stream a variety of games, literally any and everything that you can think of. Hope that you guys